Good morning. Another beautiful day here. I'm so proud to have fulfilled the promise of releasing this book, Kennedy and Trump, before June of 2025. This has been at least a 2.5, possibly a 3 year journey, and I'm just so honored, not just because I'm the only person who has written a book about Kennedy and Trump. Very few people have written books about Kennedy and Trump's travels to the White House, although Joe Concha did a great job with the great comeback by Joe Concha. One of the best books. I'm going to pull up the audiobook cover, the greatest comeback ever. Let's see if people can see that or not. But probably, I don't know, kind of sucks. Can't really see it there. Okay. No, you can't see it there. Greatest comeback ever. Okay, I'll have to pull it up somehow on the screen instead of the phone. But definitely a great book about Trump's path, the road back to the White House. The best book about Trump that I've read so far, ever. Joe Concha, the greatest comeback ever. With a picture of Donald J. Trump. I'm actually going to have to pull it up here, but it's a picture of Donald J. Trump working at McDonald's. The greatest comeback ever. Joe Concha. Okay, so let me see if I can share screen. Let's go check this out. Here we go, right on Amazon.com. Boom. So let me just show. Look at that photo. That's great. The greatest comeback ever. Inside Trump's big, beautiful campaign. As you know, they just passed the big, beautiful bill, at least in the House. Now it's got to go to the Senate. So everything is big and beautiful and the greatest ever. The greatest things ever. Well, I'm just happy to be a part of it in this moment in history. But if you're looking for a great book on Trump, a new book, this is the one to get. And let me drop that in. Even people say drop, because I don't want you to drop it. Drop it, you might hurt it. I'm not going to drop this in the chat. I'm going to put this in the live chat. If anybody wants to go, or just go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, anywhere. It's $30 though. It's not a cheap book. But it is worth every penny. An inflated penny, an uninflated penny, a commercial penny. They want to get rid of pennies and have no more pennies. Seems ridiculous to me. How's that going to work? I do not know. But what I do know is right now you can go to kennedyandtrump.com and you can download the book for free. Or if you want to, you can also purchase it. So what you want to do is go to kennedyandtrump.com. It's kennedyandtrump.com. It's going to take you to where we are looking at right now. And you can scroll down a little bit. Get the book and the PDF free. So right there, boom, click on number 1 if you want to buy the book. Click on number 2 if you want to download it for free. And number 3 will be coming soon. This will be available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and everywhere else that is coming soon. As you scroll down a little bit on the website, you're going to get the full documentary, the clipumentary that I made as I was following Kennedy and Trump to the White House. This follows all the way up to December of 2024. You can follow their journey from rivals, from foes to friends. And then, of course, the podcast, every episode of the podcast, Kennedy and Trump podcast, will also be right there for you. Underneath that, you'll find the latest clips of Kennedy and Trump, which I'm going to play because they just had a maha conference, and it was amazing. And so I want to play some of those clips. I got about 3 clips of that to play. And then if you're interested in any other books, as more books come out, because I do have possibly three more books coming out this year, um, you can always just go to click on any of these links for the free download, or if you do want to purchase it, and more music, some of my old music there, and then some of the social media links. So that's all that it really is right now. That's all that's necessary. Nice, clean, short, and sweet. You can go get the book right there. And I just want to thank everyone who has supported me through this journey, everyone who has and will read the book. I do hope it has some value. I love how Catherine says that some of my books are like an encyclopedia, which is a very nice compliment. I think one of the best things that someone could say about the book. That is exactly what it's supposed to be. Less of my commentary and more of what we want to hear, which is from Kennedy and Trump. We know what the media is going to say. We know what the naysayers are going to say. And we know what their supporters are going to say. But this book really covers in their own words. And that's what I really like about it. So, with that being said, I am going to play a couple clips. Once it loads, I'm going to play, I think I got 1, 2, 3 clips here. They're pretty short. Always want to get that in high def quality before I share.
And I've been a fan of.
So yeah, let me just go ahead and play this instead of stalling for time. This one is called Friends and Foes. Trump is a fan of Kennedy.
And I've been a fan of Bobby for years. He came up to see me 13, 14, 15 years ago, I remember, and he left. And I made a couple of the statements that he made because I agreed with the same thing, and we both went through hell. Do you remember that? It was a massive, but you know what? We turned out to be right. It was sort of interesting. But I've been a friend of Bobby, and he's been a foe too. He's tried to stop a couple of my jobs. In one case, he did stop a job, and I was really angry. And then about 4 months later, we went into like a depression. And I saved a hell of a lot of money by the fact that he stopped it.
You're welcome.
So I never minded. I always said, thank you very much for stopping that big job I was going to do. But he's a fantastic guy, and Bobby, we're with you all the way. And your beautiful wife is right sitting in the front row, and she's always been right there
I'm really
with
happy
you.
about this. So Trump takes a minute to recognize Cheryl Hines, Kennedy's wife. And this is very important, especially after that little debacle or that little mishap at the UFC show where it looked like Trump snubbed Cheryl Hines. Cheryl Hines put her hand out and Trump went right past her. So I'm glad to see this here. Trump at the UFC event, I forget what it was, UFC 381 or something. Trump did talk to her after or later. They didn't show that clip. They just showed the clip of him snubbing her, not shaking her hand. So then he talked to her later. You could see they were talking about, who knows what they were talking about. But this is a very nice moment here that we really need. The Maha movement needs. It's nice to recognize Cheryl Hines for standing by her husband during this very difficult time for him. Remember, Cheryl Hines, in the clipumentary, you'll find that little 5-second, 10-second clip there where Kennedy is asked, hey, do you think you'll ever work in a Trump administration? And Kennedy, turns to the guy and says, I don't think my marriage will survive it. And Cheryl Hines says, I think he's right. Well, let's see. Hopefully Trump will be able to prove them both wrong. They've come a long way since that moment when Kennedy was running for president. But you could tell Cheryl Hines, not the biggest fan of Trump, at least back then, but this was so nice for Trump to recognize Cheryl Hines in this very positive way. Every woman stand by your man. I'm going to go back a little bit.
Bobby, we're with you all the way, and your beautiful wife is right sitting in the front row, and she's always been right there with you. And it was very interesting when Bobby came. I really wanted Bobby to join, and he was doing very well as a candidate, really well. He was being treated very unfairly by the other side, but he was doing so well that they treated you unfairly. They had no choice. I think they said in order to qualify, Newt, you had to have 80% of the vote. Okay, do you remember that deal? You had to have 80% of the vote in order to qualify to run against Joe Biden. And Bobby thought that was a little unfair, and that was about it. And he came on board, and we got very lucky. But you really helped, and I want to thank you very much. Really, we're with you all the way.
Beautiful. So that was a great moment for the Trump campaign and for Maha, for America. And that's what we really need to be focused on, is doing this for America. What is best for this great nation, for this country. I'm a little stuffy today. I'm just getting over a flu or something. But sometimes that happens where God just kind of says, you need a break. You're running too fast, too much, doing too much. Sometimes only God can slow me down in these ways. I get sick for a couple days and I get better. I had my adenoids taken out as a kid, and so my recovery time is probably not as good as most people, hopefully. Hopefully, people recover quickly. I just have not been recovering. And even last night, I kind of felt like it was coming back on again. But I got out there today, I mowed my lawn, did the grass. I wish I could show you all the hard work I put out into the front, like every Mexican does on a Saturday morning, right? That's what we do. Just kidding. Don't take that personally. It's all in good humor. We live in one of the greatest countries ever on God's green earth. I would say, and I don't have anything else to compare it to. I've only lived in the USA. It is the greatest country. And every person should believe that their country is the greatest country and have good reason to. We have fallen short many times, but have never given up. God does not give up on us. We should not give up on him. We should not give up on the people. Should not lose hope. Should not lose faith. Never give up and never give in. Never surrender, like this guy right here says. This was one of the greatest periods in my lifetime, outside of personal, family things that have happened, great things that have happened throughout my lifetime. Being able to write this book, to document it in real time, is such a blessing, and it's one of the best learning experiences that I've ever had. Because I've done so much with this book, and even after it was finished and Catherine edited the whole thing, just going through the publication process, just a self-publication process. This is only a self-published book. Even going through that process was the only stressful thing about this book. That was it. I did not burn myself out writing this book. I did not say, okay, I'm gonna get this done and make sure that I'm the first person to ever write a book about Kennedy and Trump. Although I believe that I am. I believe there's a few AI books out there. I know because I bought two of them. I believe they're AI books. Maybe they're not, but I do believe that you will not read a book like this, Kennedy and Trump. And if you are a fan, if you want to just go back and relive those good times, the bad times between Kennedy and Trump, I think you really enjoy this book. I really do. I really hope that people do. It's hard to balance when you want to have it all be quotes. You want it to be a documentary. Trying to write a book like a documentary is impossible, but I did the best that I could. I didn't want it to come off lazy either, though. If it comes out and it just is full of quotes because it's full of quotes, that's great. I didn't want it to be full of quotes because it's just easier to just put the quotes in there. That's what I did not want. So it's that balancing act. With the COVID book, with my new World Order book, the Philip Marshall book. Those are the three next books that are just about done, just about ready here. At least within another month, 2 months, should have hopefully all those up by the end of the year. All three of those books should be out. Let's put it like that. The New World Order one should be next. Late summer will probably be the COVID book. And my friend Catherine is writing the foreword, the introduction, whatever. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but that she has helped me out so much with my learning process, just with the writing process. And it makes me want to go back to my David Crowley book and to my 9/11 book and kind of redo it. I'm not going to. I'm not going to do that, at least not right now. But she has taught me so much and she has helped me. And this book, I don't, it would not be out right now. It would probably would have taken me another year if she wouldn't have helped me. So God bless you, Catherine. Catherine Michelle, and you've been a very, very loyal friend, very good friend, and to all my friends, and to all of my family, and to all of the people who support this and support what I do and like what I do and download the book for free. And if you do want to purchase it, I will be trying to do some local, I don't know if I'll do a local farmers market or setting up booths at a local convention or something like that. I'm not really sure because I don't really know what they do around here. But hopefully I'll have that opportunity. I'm just going to put my hat on because I have not put my hair in a while. Hopefully I will have that opportunity to go out there, sit at a table like I used to back in 2011, I think it was, over 10 years ago. Over 10 years ago. It's been that long since I've done something like this. What I'm planning to do. It's just a long marketing process because I hate marketing. I hate all that. I get the book out and I just want to be done with it. Move on to the next one. Write the next one because that's the process that I love. But I do want to make sure that people, I mean, if I don't do anything, if I don't do any marketing, no one's going to know the book is even out there. So obviously I got to do something. I can't just sit here and wait for people to read it or download it or buy it and just say, oh, nobody did, so that's on them. No, it's on me. So I'm trying to change my focus, trying to change my mindset when it comes to the marketing thing. But I hate marketing. But the website, I'm pretty happy with the website. I'm happy with how the website came out, and it did not take me long. The domain I had already purchased, and then all I did was, and you can tell who I purchased it from. I'm sure you can see that up there on the screen. And that's one of their stock images in the background. And then these are the images created by Christian Coffins, who did an amazing job creating the front cover of the book. Just an amazing job with this. There's nothing else like it. You're not going to find any artwork like this. And this is what Christian Coffin does. No, one of the things Christian Coffin does. But he's so good at this stuff. He's so good at this artwork. He's an amazing artist, graphics, whatever it is. And then my good friend Derek Sharp, the guy who did the book cover, did the artwork for my first two books. Can't remember the name. 9/11, because it wasn't originally called What is Truth, but it's really called 9/11 because it's about September 11th. And then my second book, the Gray State. So he did the back of this book here and did a great job, another amazing job too. I really wanted the infamous handshake. I really wanted to add that somewhere. The cover was so good, and Christian and I talked about. He was even saying we need to look at after Kennedy and Trump joined forces. We need to look at a new cover. But I always felt like he did this so quickly. Christian Coffins did and did an amazing job. This is an untouchable cover. This covers it perfectly for me. God bless you, my friend. So, moving on to the next clip that I do want to play here. This is at the same Maha meeting, the conference. The full thing is like 38 minutes. I just showed you one little clip because that was one of the main things that I put at the beginning of my book. Was I wanted to know where was the first meeting, what was the first relationship between Kennedy and Trump? And this happened back in the 80s when Kennedy sued Trump because Trump wanted to build a golf course near the Hudson River. And Kennedy sued him and it didn't happen. The part that Trump told, I didn't know about, that we went into a deep depression or whatever, a recession more than likely. Soon after Trump lost that lawsuit and actually saved money, because if what Trump was saying is if he would have beaten Kennedy in that lawsuit, started to build the golf course near the Hudson River, he would have lost money because the economy kind of tanked after that. I did not know that part of the story until Trump said it. So I wanted to play that clip first. Thought that was a very relevant, very powerful clip there. Let's move on to the next one that is going to start.
So, so Bobby, if you'd say, give him your thoughts, please.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. I do want to say something because I get a lot of credit for steering this administration toward the Maha movement. And I joined the campaign in August. I joined President Trump in August and became, went from independent to his campaign. But it was in June that he made a speech specifically on this issue. It was a maha speech before maha existed. And that I took note of that speech at the time and thought there's a potential here for a common ground. I want to thank you for your vision, for your courage, for standing up. President Trump is a populist president. He's a president. He's blamed for giving money to billionaires and all this stuff. We hear about that all the time. But he is on the side of the middle class, the working class, the poor in this country. People. And I've been following, I've met every president since my uncle was president. And I've never seen a president, Democrat or Republican, that is willing to stand up to industry when it's the right thing to do. And they're willing to talk about really difficult issues and to hold his stand on those issues. I've never seen anything like it, and I'm very, very grateful to you. I've sat with industry again and again in a room with him and heard him say, we can't do that. We're going to do something different, deliver news that they didn't want to hear. Oh, I'm grateful to this. This is a milestone. There's never in American history has the federal government taken a position on public health like this. And because of President Trump's leadership, it's not just one cabinet secretary, it's the entire government that is behind this report. And I can say again, I talked a little bit about when I met Rachel Carson as a boy. My uncle tried to do this, but he was killed and it never got done. And ever since then, we've been waiting for a president who would stand up and speak on behalf of the health of the American people and say, there is no difference between good economic policy, good environmental policy, and good public health policy, and good industrial policy. We can have all of them, but we need a united cabinet, and we need to go forward as a single people. I want to thank you for that, President Trump.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
At its core, this report is a call to action for common sense. We've relied too much on conflicted research, ignored common sense, or what some would call mother's intuition. It's common sense that ultra-processed, nutrient-poor food contributes to chronic disease. It's common sense that excessive screen time and isolation lead to anxiety and depression, especially in children. It's common sense that exercise and healthy food should come before prescriptions and surgery. It's common sense that not all calories are equal in nutritional value. It's common sense that over-medicating kids is dangerous. It's common sense that we can celebrate the innovations of modern life while also demanding fearless inquiry into ameliorating the negative effects of medication, agriculture, and environmental practices. It's common sense that research funded by corporations deserves more scrutiny than independent studies. I'm so proud of this cabinet and particularly Secretary Rollins and Administrator Zeldin, who, again, I'll say it a third time, worked late nights, early into the morning to make this happen, and to all the leadership from the White House staff, beginning with Stephen Miller and Heidi Overton, Dr. Heidi Overton, with Vince Haley. Their leadership and their steady hand in getting us to the goal line we could not have done it without them. They helped us grapple with weighty issues and committed this administration to solving large, complex challenges like children's health. We're joined here by senators, advocates, governors who I have worked with, and CEOs who I know who are all ready to begin carrying out this mission. This is the beginning of a conversation, a national conversation that we are going to have with maturity, with nuance for the first time in history, thanks to your leadership, President Trump. There is a reason that the Maha moms sided with you, President Trump. It's because this administration has the bravery to tell the truth and solve problems through innovation and not nanny state regulation. President Trump, I'm honored to present you the Maha report and work with this incredible cabinet that you have brought together to make our children healthy again.
Let me say congratulations to the entire Maha movement. This movement
Great.
has
I
become very.
want to stop right there just for a second, just for a moment in time, a brief moment in history. Looking over, and I love what Kennedy says there. You know, Trump was Maha before there was a Maha movement. That's a pretty big, bold statement. That's a bold statement. These guys were on the same path back in 2016, 2017. And it just wasn't in God's plan. The timing wasn't right. It was not God's plan. We think we have a plan. And then God comes in and shows us his plan is better. And it always is better. In Joe Conch's book, what is the greatest comeback ever about President Trump, he thinks about this. What if Trump had won in 2020? You would have had a Democrat-led House and a Democrat-led Senate. What would have gotten done? Well, now we have a great opportunity in 2024, 2025. Better than it could have been. Always shows me God's plan is better. It's a rough 4 years without President Trump in the White House. We're going to have a great 4 years with Trump here. It's going to set a new precedent. And hopefully the media, the legacy media, will take notice. And if not, it's not going to be any wonder why they're just going to keep fading away. And if they want to be relevant, they got to keep up with the times, but they got to keep up with the truth and tell the truth about President Trump. Because if they can't do that, I don't believe anybody's going to really trust them going forward. Not that people trust them now. Not that we trust any people, really, when it comes down to it. You should only trust God. Put your faith in God. But you want to believe in people. You want to trust them. You want to take them at their word. You want to think that they're just not lying to you. Joe Biden says he's not going to do any pardons. He's not going to pardon. And then he pardons all the people he said he wasn't going to pardon. Because that's what politicians do. Trump is not a politician. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr., HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., is not a politician either. Something more, something better, something greater. Let's look at this that RFK Jr. has just posted. I know it's going to be a little tough to read. This was posted yesterday. HHS.gov is so grateful to President Paul McKinnon and the Canadian Food Inspection Agency for their willingness to spend time with Dr. McCary, NIH Director Jay, and myself yesterday for their openness to discussing a collaborative project with NIH, FDA, and CDC to conduct a long-term study on the BC ostrich flock to expand our knowledge of their immune response to avian flu. So the ostrich, they want to study this to see what are they doing right that we're not. He says, it's our hope that this collaboration will help us understand how to better protect human and animal populations and perhaps lead to the development of new vaccines and therapeutics. We at HHS are excited about this opportunity for cooperation among our governments in a promising scientific partnership. That's amazing. What a blessing. What a great day to be alive in America. What is this here? Another milestone. So this was just a great, go watch the whole 38 minutes. It's definitely worth it. I do want to look for something, what I really was looking for here, that I know is here somewhere, because I saw a clip somewhere about it. There it is. Here it is. This is the good stuff we all want to see. RFK Jr. on CNN. Here we go. We've done more in 100 days than my predecessors have done in decades. And there's a CNN fool looking on. I'll play a little bit of it.
We're already doing it. I mean, we were already getting rid of the food dyes. We're changing the SNAP program so that, we now are handling a tsunami of applications by the states to give them SNAP waivers, so to get sodas and candies off of SNAP. We're reviewing the dietary guidelines, and we're going to have those out by August. And the dietary guidelines under President Biden were 453 pages, and they were basically a product of the same kind of industrial impulses that put Fruit Loops at the top of the food pyramid.
But you're saying in 60 days, people should expect to see concrete solutions of how these things can be solved?
We're already reviewing the GRAS standards, the generally recognized as safe standards. So we've done more in 100 days than my predecessors have done in decades in terms of redressing the causes of this problem. So, and we're going to keep doing that. We're not waiting for this to come out, but we are going to do comprehensive diagnostics across the entire government of what each of these agencies need to be doing to end the epidemic.
Well, she's not interested. She's not interested, and it's just gotcha. Well, you haven't done it. They never questioned Biden's team. They never questioned the HHS secretary. By the way, go look at the HHS secretary under Biden. It's complete hypocrisy, and it's totally one-sided, and the American people see through it. It's not a big thing. Here's what Kennedy said: it's an illusion to think that processed food is cheap because you end up paying for it with diabetes, autoimmune dysregulation, mitochondrial dysfunction, inflammation, and more. I don't know if I said that right. The maha report is about getting every American to demand accessibility to good whole foods in their neighborhoods. All right, this one is 2 minutes. 2 minutes and 43 seconds. Let's see if I can stand to listen.
But I wonder what you would say to maybe a single mom of 2 kids who's reading this report about how harmful these cheap but very accessible foods are for her family, and saying, well, sometimes that's the best we can do, and that's why that's what's on the food or at the table at the end of the day, or that's what's in their lunchbox.
It's an illusion to think that processed food is cheap, because you end up paying for it with diabetes. You end up paying for it with autoimmune dysregulation, with mitochondrial dysfunction, with inflammation, and you end up paying much higher costs in the long run.
But they're not paying.
Now, there are food deserts in this country, where people at this point have a hard time getting access. I met with the health technology companies this week, and it was an extraordinary meeting. And one of the statements they made is that there's no place in this country, in the lower 48, where you can't get access to good foods. It's not easy access, as it had been in the past, and that's been part of the economic drivers, and also the fact that people don't understand that these processed foods are poison.
But
they're more and more, and you're watching companies now that are changing their ingredients because of this movement. that are making good food more available to Americans because they're demanding it. There was no demand for it before. This report is about getting every American to demand the accessibility to good whole food in their neighborhoods. And that, it's going to be a process, but it's already happening. You see these big fast food conglomerates that are switching from seed oils to beef tallow fat. You see, and them reducing the ingredients. You see Chobani yogurt changing its ingredients because of the demand that has happened because of the Maha movement. We are going to make sure they have apps that mothers who go into the grocery store have an app that they can show on, send a flash on the barcode of every product and get a green light, red light, or yellow light. That will allow them.
HHS is creating that?
We're working with industry to do it, and they're already doing it. The Mark Hyman's company has done it. Patrick Sonsing's company has done it. There are many, many apps out there that I use one called Yucca. That is my wife and I consider it invaluable. You can go into any grocery store, flash it at any product, and you can get a go or a no on it. And as that happens, the market, we're not trying to create a nanny state here. We're trying to drive market forces that will drive change in the kind of food Americans get through good information and good science.
Good information and good science. And so, okay, let's move on to the next question that I have. Let's move on to the next thing. She's not interested.
For human health.
Not interested in what these healthy things are. And I don't know. It just seems like she's just asking the questions that are on the piece of paper that's in front of her. She's not really interested in what Kennedy has to say, not interested in really making America healthy again. It's all about trying to do anything to nitpick at President Trump and to nitpick at Robert F. Kennedy Jr. All right, another 40 seconds. I'm surprised I made it this long.
I think we've all agreed that processed food is not a good thing for human health, and that we're driving a diabetes epidemic. Caitlin, when I was a kid, my uncle was president. The average pediatrician at that time saw one case of juvenile diabetes in his lifetime over a 40, 50-year career. Today, 38% of teens are diabetic or pre-diabetic. And 1 out of every 3 kids who walks through his office door has that. And it's costing us $1 trillion a year just for that kind of mitochondrial dysfunction. It's bankrupting our country. It's making it 75% of American kids can't qualify for military service. I think we've all agreed that processed food is not a good thing for human health.
She doesn't look happy. It's just not like, oh, okay, thank you. You're doing a great job. Thanks for doing all this for us. Keep up the great work. She just does not look happy. It's more like, I don't know. I don't know what the big problem is that these people have. But anyways, I'm going to sign off here. May God be with you all. God bless you. Remember, Jesus Christ loves you. I love you too. I'm going to finish it off with this last video. It's about 1 minute. And until next time, my friends, stay blessed. God bless you all. Remember, you can still get the book, Kennedy and Trump. Go to kennedyandtrump.com. That's kennedyandtrump.com. You find everything there. Free. If you want to buy it, whatever you need, we got it. God bless you. Till next time.
Let me say congratulations to the entire Maha movement. This movement has become very hot. People are really, I tell you, they're going crazy over Maha. Right? And I look forward to continuing the historic progress. And I will say this whole group, this whole table, they're very, I use a word that's because it's a beautiful word, actually. The Democrats took it and they used it instead of the word liberal. They used the word progressive. And normally I'd say you're very progressive, meaning they're not progressive. You are progressive. They shouldn't be allowed to use that word. And so therefore I'm not going to use it to describe you, but you are far forward thinkers. You're amazing thinkers, and we appreciate having you. It's this tremendous talent around this table, the most respected people anywhere in the world, actually.